TPS reports. We're back. It's been a while. It feels like it's been forever. As you can see, I'm Justin. That's Brandon and Pat from a different location. It appears this time.
From his mom's basement.
Yes,
I
he
wish
doesn't
I
have.
put a pool table in it.
Hey,
Yeah.
hey.
Well, that sounds like the perfect place to be. We're on the pool table. You should be on the pool table.
Right.
Guys, I've missed y'all. I've missed y'all, man.
Miss you guys.
Yeah.
Big
Yeah.
time. We got a lot to talk about.
Yeah, this was a good tournament. It was May 18th at Blue Rocks. We had a non-ball tournament. It was points event number 4 on the year. Number 4 on the year. 32 players, as always. We filled up, which is awesome. First time we've been at Blue Rocks this year. I know, Pat, you could still go over there some and hit balls. I had not been there, though, probably since we did our last tournament.
Yeah,
But
I still try to go there every now and again when I can in between the kids and whatnot.
yeah, and we did find that awesome breakfast spot next door, which was pretty sweet.
The dive-in, man.
Yes.
Look, if you go, get one pancake. It'll be enough. I promise.
But y'all could have eaten all the pizza rolls that were at Blue Rock, though. Y'all really missed out
Well,
on the
yeah.
world famous pizza rolls.
Well, I like
Let's
breakfast
not get
here.
ahead of ourselves.
I do too. Sometimes I like pizza for breakfast.
Yeah. But guys, we got a fun tournament to talk about. This might have been our most stacked field yet from top to bottom. More 600 plus Fargo players played in this one than in any of our events so far. Let me go ahead and mention all of our sponsors, though, first and foremost. A big thank you to them for helping us out. The tournament would not be possible without them. The live stream would not be possible without them. First and foremost, Deadstroke Media. That's you, Pat. Always doing a great job. Got some big things coming. Go ahead and tell us you got a match coming next weekend, right?
Yeah, this upcoming weekend, Brandon, I have an action match against Mr. Smitty Horn that we're going to be putting together over there at Rack. I'm playing some 8-ball, so definitely tune in for that.
Perfect. I'm
What
looking
time
forward.
does that start? On Saturday?
7,
Oh, maybe I
7
couldn't have
p.m.
said.
on Saturday. Yeah.
Hopefully I'm not there, but if we're knocked out, then I'll be there.
Yeah. Hopefully you won't be able to watch it, Brandon.
I will be. I'll be watching for sure, 100%. I'll be tuned in. That'll be a fun
Good.
match. I think that's both y'all are good players. We are also sponsored by John Patera at Remax Metro Realty. He played in our event. We'll probably talk about him a little bit actually. Inkwell Design, who makes the awesome trophy. You can go look at it on our Facebook page. Also, she makes our T-shirts that once again none of us are wearing. We do really great at that, by the way. Tim's Q's was a sponsor this time. Tim does great Q work. He plays league out of Irish Q, so we really appreciate that. Portico licensed general contractors. Corey yet to play in one of our events, but still an awesome guy. He was on one of Pat's streams against in an action match one time.
Mm-hmm.
Pool doctors, always great. Josh Mullinex, really appreciate him. Red's debris removal and hauling. Obviously, we appreciate Red. Classic Home Billiards, Bruce Bird. As he told Pat, I can confirm he was a great player once at one time. Might still be a great player because he might watch this. So I will say.
Give him a month, he'll be back to normal.
Yes, absolutely. Verde Safety Group, Edwin De La Cueva started his own company. Appreciate him sponsoring us. Premier Imports of Charlotte. That's Ricky Carcamo, who's played in a few of our events. We missed him on this one, but that's his shop. You can go get some your car fixed or whatever you need over there. Does great work. And Crown Pest Control. That's where you work now, Brandon. So,
that's right. Yeah.
We definitely appreciate all of those sponsors. Thank you all so much. And that concludes our show. Actually, we're just gonna go ahead and stop right there. That was it.
Signing off.
No. Just kidding. We're just gonna go ahead and dive into our top 8 finishers, as we always pay out the top 8, a quarter of the field. We'll start with 7th and 8th, like we always do, and work our way up to the top. So kind of start, in the middle, at the bottom of the cash players, and end with the best of the best. So 7th, 8th place, we had Brian Francis, who once again cashed. That's a couple of cashes this year. And we had Scott Roberts, who might have came in as the favorite if you just base it off of Fargo. Kind of a disappointing finish for him. So, Pat, let's get your thoughts on Brian Francis and Scott Roberts finishing 7th, 8th.
Yeah, I think in my mind, looking at the top 8, Brian Francis would have been considered like the surprise of the group. You know what I mean? Which just speaks to how deep the field was down there at Blue Rocks. And then, yeah, I thought Scott Roberts was going to be at least top 4. The
Yeah.
way that he and Greg Taylor came out playing, I know we're going to probably talk about Greg for a minute here in a little bit, but yeah, with his Fargo and the way that he was playing early on, I thought he would have been up there Final Four for sure.
Yeah, I think everybody would have expected Scott to go top 4. I think he might have went for the most in the Calcutta as well. I'm not sure. And Brian Francis, yeah, any tournament where Brian Francis is not a top 8 player going into it is a pretty stacked field because Brian's a really good player. So the fact that I think he's the surprise cash, which I kind of agree on, tells you that it was a super strong field. Brandon, what do you think about Brian and Scott?
Well, the tournaments are always better when the Pope cashes. So I
Yes.
love that for him. And he gives us great bulletin board material. So good job on that, Brian.
Oh, absolutely.
My take on Scott Roberts is actually going to be a little bit different than Pat's. I actually, because I had seen him play before, and he's a great player, and I had the chance to play him in my second round match. And as good of a player as he was having a difficult time adjusting to the equipment.
Oh, yeah.
Like he was, so I mean, like, is it a surprise he's not top 4? A little, but after watching my match with him, his match with other players, he he never got comfortable, if that makes
Mm.
sense. So to me, to finish 7th, 8th, and not be comfortable still says a lot. However, with his Fargo rating and other matches I've watched him play, it was a little shocking. But either way, it's not everybody's day sometimes. But
Yeah, I mean, Blue Rocks is the only place I know that has those black label diamonds. I don't know any
yes,
other place that has those, and they do play a little different, I think, than the blue labels that we're all used to. Pockets are a little tighter.
mhm,
I think the rails bank a little shorter than the other diamonds that we're used to. So it definitely does take some getting used to. And honestly, I feel like it makes it even tougher to play non-ball on those
for
tables. Like,
sure.
really those tables are probably meant more so for one pocket or 8 ball, which we have done an 8 ball tournament there before. Let's go ahead and move on to the 5th and 6th place finishers. We had Mark Bolton. That's the first time I've seen him. First of all, first time he's been in one of our events, but also the first time I've seen him since he had his stroke. So very happy that he's out and about and being able to play. And we also had Liam Nguyen. Awesome to see him back. Also kind of coming back from some health problems. So it's good that both those guys cashed. I'm rooting for both of them just because of what they're kind of fighting through, really. And they're both really good players. I think they're both supposed to cash probably most of our events. Pat, what do you think about Mark and Liam?
I love watching both of those guys, man. You always love a good comeback story, you know, and both of them have great comeback stories that they're currently writing. Liam Wynn, always fun to watch. He has a very calm, consistent game. It's, I don't know, I would compare him to like a Jeff Pate almost in the way that he plays. Like his pace never really quickens. It's always that same steady, consistent pace.
Oh yeah,
And Mark Bolton, he's just fun to watch play. You know,
yes,
he kind of lets his emotions come out a little bit more for the better and the worse. But shot maker, cue ball, his cue ball control is out of this world too. So the first time getting a chance to see him play, I really hope he comes back and he plays a whole lot more with us.
yeah. He said that he really enjoyed it. And he definitely wants to come back. He likes open events as well. He doesn't like handicap tournaments, which obviously we don't dive into those kind of tournaments. So, and yeah, Liam. I mean, Liam had some really nice outs and some really good highlight shots as you put together some highlights for us on our YouTube page. So y'all go check those out. I mean, Liam definitely a great player. Brandon, what do you think about those two gentlemen?
We called Liam's first match with Greg Taylor, and even though Greg was leading pretty much right until he made a mistake on his final 9 ball. Liam stuck in the match the whole way. When Greg
Um,
made mistakes, Liam made him pay, and he is fun to watch. And I have to say, I think Mark Bolton's one of my new favorite players to watch. Watching him in person is way, way different than watching him online. Watching that snooker stance, watching that bridge, watching everything he does. Pat, you and I were talking about certain players whose bag is just different. His bag is different. It really is, and he's fun to watch. So, Mark, listen to Justin and come out to as many events as you can make it to, because not only you a great shot. You're also a great guy. I'm glad you're doing better. Both you and Liam, for sure.
I'm pretty sure I've personally invited Mark to every one of our tournaments. Pat, do you think Liam could be one of our next players to sneak up and get a trophy at some point?
Oh, for sure. Oh, for sure. It's there. He just needs the roles, you know.
Yeah.
You see players like Clay Davis winning it multiple times, you know. It's never easy. You know what I
No,
mean? Sometimes things just have to go your way. He just needs a few more things to go his way. He'll be there. He'll be. If he doesn't host a trophy this year, that'll be a shock to me.
I agree. I agree. And yeah, it's definitely tough to win. I mean, we've had 4 events this year, had 4 different winners, so that kind of tells you how tough it is to get through these fields, get through this format. Which kind of leads us to one of our past winners who placed 4th place, and he's not really used to being talked about this early in the show. With his worst finish of the year, Clay Davis, 4th place. Brandon, what do you think about Clay finishing 4th?
Well, I mean, there's a whole bunch of people that would love to finish where he finished. However, he ran into two guys that I think wanted to beat him more than take their next breath. I mean that. I called both of those matches along with you, Pat, and Rico as well. And sometimes it's just the other guy's day. I don't think Clay had a bad day. I don't think he didn't play well. There's a handful of shots that he would even admit that, he didn't play correctly. But, sometimes, hey, if 4th place is a bad day for you, then you're doing well. So you just keep doing what you're doing, Clay. You'll get 1 or 2 more this year.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, he's still the leader in our point standings.
By a good margin
Yeah,
too.
yeah. So he's definitely doing something right. I do think he missed a couple balls that were very unexpected for him in this tournament.
Hmm.
Definitely was not his best game. But Pat, what do you think about Clay in his 4th place finish?
I think Brandon, you summed it up perfectly. It's not that he had a bad day. It's just, I think the biggest surprise of his losses was he played against the number 3 guy that we're going to talk about, who was shooting out of his mind
Yes.
all day.
Hmm.
I mean, this top 4, slightly maybe excluding number 3, but this, I mean, there's a bunch of finalist players all throughout this top 8, and some that are not even in the top 8. So that just speaks to the, again, how strong the field was. You know, like you said, Brandon, a couple balls here or there. That's the difference between him playing for the championship and being in 4th place.
Absolutely. And yeah, like you said, the top 4, really 3 of these top 4 are outstanding, top notch, can compete anywhere in the country level. And the one excluding, who is also a great player, and he finally broke through for a top 3 finish. And I think we all kind of been expecting it. I think we all kind of pick him always to cash in every event that he shows up to. 3rd place was Jason Blackwell. I was happy to see him get up there, man. He played really good. I think he just got tired at the end, but he played fantastic for the first couple of rounds. I mean, that's the best I've ever seen him play, and I could not be happier to see it. I was actually, I like to be a little biased about who's going to win, but when it got to the end, I was really just kind of hoping that he would sneak through and pull it off. For one thing, it'd be kind of an upset, and for another thing, you just like to see a guy go from to work his way up. And I've seen Jason from, years and years of playing, and he's moving up, and he's top notch. And he's gonna be my pick to break through and win a trophy at some point as well in the near future. So, Pat, give us your thoughts on Jason Blackwell, man.
I mean, look at his route. He played me to start. You know how much trouble I'm going to get.
That's true.
Myself, Chris Clark, Eddie Little, and Clay Davis. He didn't lose a set through all 4 of those matches. He 2-0'd everybody. If these standings are correct. So I think, like you said, he just ran out of gas against Hunter White, who's probably the best player in the field.
Yes.
And then had to come back and beat Eddie Little again, and that went to the hill. So just a testament to how well he was playing all day. It was one of those ones, man. You could tell early on he was feeling really, really good, and he did a really great job of just carrying it through. But maybe fatigue set in a little bit towards the end there. But great day overall, man. I think you could. I think you could honestly, in my brain, I probably would have if I had to make predictions, I would have switched him with like a Scott Roberts.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I don't think it's any surprise that he cracks into the money or makes the top 8. That's not the surprise. I think it's the surprise that he gets like 3rd place, considering
Yeah.
how strong the field was. So kudos to him, man. He had a great day.
Yeah, I definitely think he's one of those guys where it's like I've kind of been waiting for him to get a top 3 or 4 finish. And it's a little surprising that it was this tournament with this field that he pulled through. But most definitely, he's the type of player that I think is going to be starting to be expected to be maybe in the top 4 or 5 at every one of our events. Brandon, what do you think about? I know you're a big Jason fan.
I haven't been friends with him a long time. And after his match with Clay, I walked outside and I said to him, and he agreed. I said, that match I saw you play with Clay is the best match I've honestly God seen you play in 5 years.
Agreed.
I said, if you want to go APA style, he might have had one legitimate miss, one inning, if you want to call it. I mean, Clay's the one that, he gave Jason 2 or 3 other chances on his own break. And then when Jason was on his break, if he wasn't getting out, he was playing a great save. He was tactical the whole way through. That was fun to watch. It really was.
Yes.
And I mean, I couldn't be happier for the guy. I really couldn't. Things are going well for him right now.
Yeah.
So you just hope that they stay that way between his personal life, between his billiard life. Things are going well for him. So we just, hope that keeps going the way it's going, especially his pool game. He keeps doing that, he will hoist a trophy because, like I say, he might have run out of gas a little bit. Plus, the top 2 finishers weren't going to be denied today.
No, yeah, and I think
Right.
yeah. What was that, Pat?
Just agreement.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Agreement with that top 2 finishers piece that Brandon just talked about. They were not going to be denied.
No.
But yeah, Jason's having a great life right now. Shout out to his wife Mallory, who played in our
Yes,
tournament
for
as well. One of the 2 females, the other was Sydney Ford, works at Smoking Q. So appreciate the 2 ladies for playing. Always enjoy seeing some women come out and play. Let's move on to our second place finisher. His best showing of the calendar year 2024. Maybe he's starting to turn that corner. Maybe he's going to start showing what he showed early last year in our events. And that man is the legend himself, Eddie Little. Second place. Maybe he's back. Pat, what do you think about Eddie Little?
Time to hang him up, Eddie. This is it. I'm just kidding.
I'm sure he
I'm
would.
just
I'm
kidding.
sure he would love to do that. Actually,
He can't, man. He can't let it go. He's too
no.
obsessed like the rest of us.
Yes.
No, man. Eddie was he was having a tough go. He was definitely not playing his best pool early on. He was extremely frustrated about it. But then once he got to the and not once he got to, but when he got to the loser side bracket too, like everything was a grind. I think all of his matches went to the hill up until the championship when he had to play Hunter White. So he was just, man, he was just really like fighting through a lot of bad rolls. Um, and maybe not so great play for himself, which is crazy because he still cracked, he was still playing in the finals. You know what I mean? Speak to his resilience, man. He got that look in his eye, like right around like maybe 11 o'clock, 11:30. When he looked over at everybody else, he's like, "I'm not splitting."
No. Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah. He got mad that they
When he
asked him.
said he wasn't, yeah. Oh, that I think that was just kerosene on the fire. Like, excuse me, you want to split? No, no, we're playing this. So, hey, man, shouts out to him for getting second. You battle back. You battle back something serious.
And this was old school Eddie too, because he actually bought himself in a Calcutta. That told me right away instantly that I was like, Eddie's here to play pool today. He's not taking any prisoners today. And I think he was trying to prove something, maybe just prove something to himself because he had a couple of really bad tournaments, on the pool series events this year. So to see him kind of come through and get second place was pretty awesome. Brandon, talk.
I'm a fan. I just love this guy. I learned on that day that that guy wants to play as much pool as possible.
Oh yeah.
I really believe. I learned that when he said he wasn't splitting. And once I realized, I'm like, yes, this is what the tournament life is about. We're going to go all the way down to the end. We've been here since 11. We left at 5:17. Beautiful day.
I'm glad somebody had it written down what time we left.
Oh
I
yeah,
didn't know.
we clocked it. We
Nice.
had to know.
Nice.
And no, Eddie played, and it's funny. His B side was harder than his A side.
Yeah.
That's what's crazy.
Which is it shows extreme resilience. Like he took a loss to Jason Blackwell that a lot of people would not have thought he would take. I don't know if I would have said that, seeing how Jason was playing against everybody, but either way. And then he has to go through, who did he beat? Scott Roberts.
After he lost,
Milo.
After he lost to Blackwell, he beat Scott.
he beat Todd,
Todd,
Scott, Mark Bolton,
Mark
Clayton Davis,
Clay.
and Jason Blackwell.
You know, that's usually a path to the A side, not the B side. So I mean, that is some serious, serious strong play. So good for you, Eddie. I know you got bridesmaid. Nobody likes second. However, you still played like a champion,
Yeah,
and we're proud of you. And
absolutely.
we know we'll see you at the next event.
Oh yeah. He's actually signed up for all of our events the rest of the year,
Good.
which you can check
Let's
out.
go.
One pocket? Is he going to play one?
No,
pocket?
he didn't sign up for that one, but
Oh.
he did. He has signed up for all of them, so you can check our schedule actually on our Facebook page. Let's go ahead and get to the one pocket champion. Actually,
This guy,
since you brought it up, the winner of the May 18th non-ball tournament at Blue Rocks, his second pool series trophy. The other one being the one pocket tournament last year, and we do have another one pocket tournament coming up on August 3rd. By the way, go ahead and get signed up for that if you want. The champion, Hunter White. Possibly the best player in the tournament. Brandon made a comment earlier before we started the show about how Hunter has never reached the loser side of our tournaments. He's only played in 3 events. He played since we've been doing this format. He played the one pocket, which he won undefeated. He won this one undefeated. He did once lose a first round match, but did not play the loser side. But Hunter White, champion, and he proved, I think, with this tough field that he is somebody that you don't want to play. Tough field, and he played the best I've seen him play in a while. Let's start off with Pat. Pat, what do you think about Hunter White and his performance at Blue Rocks?
Lost 2 sets all day. First match against Trey McNeely, that went to the hill. And then in his third match against Brian Francis, that went to the hill. Outside of that, the man didn't lose a set for the rest of the day. When it was 4 o'clock, 4:30, whatever it was, when he started playing Eddie Little in the championship, he looked like it was 11 in the morning, 12 in the afternoon. He looked fresh, like he was just ready to go. It was the craziest thing I've ever seen. I'm over here taking naps in the corner because I can't keep my eyes open anymore. And this 20-year-old's he's 20 something years old, by the way, which is mind blowing to me how talented he is.
Is he 24?
24?
23 or 24. He's one of them.
God, he's old.
It's crazy.
I remember
That's
when he was
crazy to think about how talented he is, man. But you talking about one of the best one pocket players, man. He's just one of the best players, pool players in the state of North Carolina. And he proves it time and time again.
Absolutely. And it's, let's reference that one pocket tournament that he won again. And that one pocket tournament, he lost 1 rack the whole day. And now you're saying that he only lost 2 sets the whole day in this non-ball tournament. The kid just doesn't lose. I mean, it's crazy because it's like he's kind of like the UConn, who just won the college basketball championship. He's kind of like them. Like, it's not even close. They win every game by 30. He wins every set 2-0. He wins every match 2-0, 2 sets to 0. It's crazy. It's unbelievable. Brandon, what do you think, man? What's your thoughts?
Been talking to Hunter here and there. He's been wanting to hear this podcast. So here you go, Hunter. You get your 15 minutes of fame.
I'm glad he's listening.
Absolutely, he will be. He's chomping at the bit.
Yeah.
He played like a pro pool player.
Yeah.
Because that's what he is. That's what he does. He and I were talking during the whole thing. He actually got on the mic, which was fun. Learned a lot, about him, and they say Hunter's a great one pocket player. And Pat, I'm kind of feeding off of what you just said. Hunter is going to be a great player wherever the money is.
Yeah.
He'll play 8 ball if the money's right. It doesn't matter. And he's going to play like an absolute pro player. He and I were talking during this, and one thing that, we were mentioning is just how he actually stays in shape to be able to stay from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. He keeps it all up here. He is a stayer up top, and that's what happened was. I mean, plus, y'all keep saying he's probably the best player. He's definitely the best player in the tournament today, and he proved it, and that was great to watch. He hit one of the biggest breaks, even though I think there was something on the table that made it jump. That cue ball had to have gone 7.5.
Oh, man.
If there'd have been a real
billiard
light there, it'd have been shattered. So I hope that one got.
Go get that highlight.
Yeah, that was pretty crazy.
Hunter, great shooting, great turning. You're also a funny and fun guy to hang out with. So, I hope you come to many more and keep it going. You're playing well, that's for sure.
Yeah, he's probably playing some of the best pool I've ever seen him play.
Mhm.
And we could just mention with him exactly what we were mentioning with a couple other players in these last couple of tournaments, such as BJ, Mike Davis. They all do this for a living.
Yes.
So it's, when it comes time to step up and pull through, they're going to step up and pull through. Mike gets better as the tournament goes on. He plays the best in the semifinals, the finals. And honestly, it looked like Hunter does that as well because the finals of the one pocket tournament, he won super quick. Honestly, he beat Eddie kind of quick too in the finals of this 9-ball tournament. They reach a different level that none of these other players, as good as they are, they can't get there. And it's because they do it for a living. You know what I mean? Like Eddie Little, Jason Blackwell, Clay Davis, all three great players. All three finished top 4. They all work a regular job.
Yes. They work for a living.
Yes. So unbelievable. Good job, Hunter. Congratulations on the win. Hopefully you come back and win another one. I do expect him to come back and win the one pocket event in August. He's got to repeat as the champion since he won last year. So
I want to see if somebody comes from somewhere in the middle of the country to play him because I don't see anybody around here playing him in one pocket.
I think Pat's been practicing. He's ready.
I think Pat
Yeah.
could
Yeah.
take him to 3
Yeah.
sets. I can't do this anymore.
I was talking about the one
Be
pocket.
asking for tips
want-
in the middle of the match.
What's that?
Is this my pocket or your pocket? That's what I'd be saying. Like 3 sets. Is this yours or is this? Okay.
All right,
How
guys.
would you break this?
yeah.
Balls all
guys.
over the table. It'd be terrible.
Oh, it would be fun to watch though, honestly. Not that we would be.
Oh, we would
Yeah.
stream that one.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
on the stream.
Yeah.
Period.
We had to put one of my one pocket matches on the stream. If you play in the tournament, you'll have to be on the stream as well. So it's only fair. But yeah, so that was our top 8: Hunter White, Eddie Little, Jason Blackwell, Clay Davis, Mark Bolton, Liam Nguyen, Brian Francis, Scott Roberts. Congratulations, guys. Y'all played well. It was fun to watch. Hopefully we see you do it all again. I'd love to read all of your names again. Let's move on and kind of mention some people that didn't cash. We had 24 players that did not cash. That includes us 3, sadly, as all 3 of us played. As always, I wrote down 3 people I kind of expected to be in the top 8. I don't know who you would take out to put them there, but going into the day, I kind of was like, oh, maybe these 3 people will cash. They did not. I'm going to read them off. Y'all tell me what you think. Maybe you have somebody else in mind. Jeff Pate finished 13th place. I thought he would be up there. Jeff Abernathy also finished 13th. I thought he would be up there. And Greg Taylor finished 25th. I thought he would be up there. Pat, I think it seems like you agree with all 3 of those players.
Same exact list.
Yeah. And we've seen Jeff Pate cash a few times. Jeff Abernathy has been 1 or 2 out of the money the last 4 times he's played. Greg Taylor, wasn't feeling too well. Definitely did not play his best. But what do you think caused those 3 guys to kind of not cash? Tough draws maybe or bad rolls?
For Greg Taylor, I can't say it's a tough draw. He had Liam and John Patera.
Yeah.
No disrespect to those 2 guys, but seeing Greg play that first set, for me, it was obvious who the better player was, But to Brandon's point, that equipment in Blue Rocks isn't, every one of those diamonds is going to play a little bit different. They're all a little bit tighter. Those rails are not you can't just bank off of a true diamond system because some of them bank longer, some of them bank shorter. You really got to bank those off of a feel. So, and then y'all said that he wasn't feeling well, he was a little bit under the weather.
Yeah.
So, you got a few different factors going into why he didn't have a successful day. And
Looked
then
a little bit fair to that point, though. I'm sorry. Sorry, Pat.
No, go ahead.
He looked pretty jam up until he missed the final ball against Liam.
I think we talked about it. It was a huge momentum shift that happened when he missed that ball, and the confidence that Liam had to kind of recollect himself and kind of push forward to take that match. But with the other 2 guys, man, Abernathy and Jeff Pate, I can't say that it's an equipment thing for them. I know that the very first action match that we streamed, Jeff Abernathy was a part of it. He was playing against Hank Powell, so
Great
it's not
match.
like he's that equipment. Yeah, it was a really good match too, and he won. But I don't know, man. Jeff has also been struggling lately these past few tournaments that he's been in. We keep expecting him to be into the money. He just somehow or another he just falls short. And I haven't been able to see enough of his matches to be able to say oh, I think this might be what it is. But
Yeah,
he's
I just
played,
want
he played against Mark Bolton.
yeah,
Um,
tough match.
and then, yeah, so, I mean, what can you say?
Yeah, I mean yeah, maybe it's just maybe the format just evens it out. I mean, I think he's a player that plays a lot better in the longer races. I mean, if he plays those same four people that he played in this tournament, if he played them all in like just an even race to 9, he probably wins all four of those matches possibly. But with the format that we play, races to 3, 2 out of 3 sets, I think it really kind of brings him down to earth a little bit. Like he needs that time at the table to kind of get going. Does that make sense?
It does. And I misspoke. It wasn't, I clicked on Jeff Abernathy's name, and that's who played Mark Bolton. He actually played the Bear, Brandon
Hmm.
Mullis first, who 2-0'd him. And I remember you were feeling really good that day too. You were feeling really good opening against Jeff Payton. And then he lost to Todd Milam. And we've been seeing Todd these past few tournaments, like just playing better and better, especially when we were at
Yeah.
Smoking Q last.
Yeah.
He was playing really, really well. I think he got into the money on that one too. So um, I think maybe for Jeff Pate, it was more of the draw than it was for Jeff Abernathy.
Yeah, I think Jeff Pate, honestly, he could have went 2 and out. Brandon beats him 2-0, and then Sidney Ford misses a non-ball to beat him.
Mhm.
So he got very kind of
Wow.
fortunate there. And then I thought he turned the corner because he turns around and beat Nate Frank 2-0, and I was like, okay, here comes Jeff Pate. He's about to go on a run. Here we go, top 5 finish for him. And then Todd, I mean, the Todd plays good, man. I mean, he's really starting to prove that he's a great player. Brandon, is there anybody that you thought would be up there?
Yeah,
Who?
you.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah.
And I'm going to throw, and I wouldn't have necessarily said this before the Calcutta, but after watching his first set, even though he lost it, Trey McNeely, he
Oh,
played some good pool that day. He played some
hmm.
very good pool.
he went
But
second blonde bid.
uh, anyway, we have
No, go ahead. No, go
another
ahead.
on that one.
Yeah.
But I would have put you on that list for
Yeah.
sure, as far as surprises to not cash.
Yeah. I mean, personally, I always expect to be up there. I kind of expect all three of us guys to be up there every time.
Mhm.
Let's just go ahead and jump into how the three of us did. We all three tied. So congrats, guys. It was fun to finish in the same spot. Which
Yeah,
is 17-24. So not too impressive. I wish that we tied with like, first, second, and third, but we could be like, remember the Rick Hendrick card that one time in the race finished first, second, and third and all kind of crossed at the same time. Brandon probably remembers. But 17-24, we'll start with how Digital Pool listed. So I'll start at the bottom with Brandon. Um, Here's how your tournament went. You beat Jeff Pate 2-0. Great win. You lose to Scott Roberts 2-0. Okay, understandable. Then you lose to Trey McNeely 2-1. Tough draw, man. I mean, honestly, I think you're probably supposed to lose to Scott. I think Pate, that's an upset for you.
yeah, I agree.
Trey is probably a little bit of a toss-up, I feel like.
I
So
agree with that too.
that's just a tough. If you told me that you lost 2 out of those 3 matches, I'd be like, okay, understandable. But Pat, what do you think about Brandon's tournament before we get into Brandon's thoughts on this tournament?
I think the exact same thing. I think it was huge that you beat Jeff Pate. You were coming out, you were feeling real, real good. Um, but that's a really, really tough draw at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Super tough field. But I don't think that I think even when we were talking about it, it's not that you were playing bad at any point. Like you were still very happy with how you played. It's just they were just playing that much better. So hats off to you, man.
The only regret shot of the day that I have is just one. And I usually don't get to say that, but just one regret shot of the day is I missed an 8 in the side. I caught the point, and I would have rolled right down and been dead on the 9 for Scott Roberts in the second set.
Hmm.
I'd have gone up 2-1 in the second set.
Hmm.
But but other than that, I was very, very pleased with how I play. I made no mistakes with Pate.
Nice.
Mm.
And that's how
Uh,
that's what you have to do to beat Jeff
the
Pate.
Trey McNeely match, because of all the safeties between both of us, that's really whoever won the safety battle won the rack. It was actually a very well played match by both of us. He got me 3-1 in the third.
Hmm.
You know,
That's close.
it is. It is. And, when the game's played right, I don't really get upset about it. I was looking at the list, and out of the 32 players, there are 19 A rated or better players on that list. That's a tough tourney. And nobody underneath a B, or maybe one or two C players, but nobody really underneath an A or a B. So a lot of it has to do with your bracket and and how the balls roll out for you. So am I disappointed in the finish? Of course. Nobody ever brags about being 17th through 24th. However, was I happy on my performance on the table? Yeah,
Well, good.
I'll go with it.
Well, good, man. Yeah, it was definitely just one of those ones that you shake off. I mean,
Mhm.
you're gonna get some bad draws, you're gonna get some good draws. It's just all about playing good. Like that's the key. So next we'll move on to my tournament, and let's see. I lost 2-1 to Carlos White. I beat Jesus Reyes 2-0, and then I lose 2-0 to Todd Milam. Pat, let's just start with you. What'd you think about Justin's tournament?
I would ask what happened. I don't think that you're supposed to lose against. Straight up, like I don't think you're supposed to lose against Carlos. I think you absolutely win 2-0 99% of the time against Jesus. And then Todd, that's not a toss up, but I see that going more to the hill than I see something one sided like that. You know, either way that it goes, but. I'm interested to see what your thoughts on it are because I didn't really get a chance to see any matches that you had.
Yeah, I played all three of my matches like away from the stream table. Brandon, what'd you think about Justin's performance?
Justin's performance, it happens to every good player. I love Carlos. I definitely consider him a friend, but that's an upset. That is one of the bigger upsets in the tourney. Obviously, your win. Who's your win against him?
Jesus Reyes.
Jesus.
Yeah.
2-0.
Yeah.
Okay, got back in form there. I'm not going to call Todd an upset, but I am going to call it kind of okay. Now I'm listening more to Todd Milam kind of thing because he's starting to really rack up some really good wins in these tourneys. He really is. But I would still favor you 70-30 in that match. I really would. So that's more of me giving credit to Todd on that, give him the golf clap. But I mean, as far as your tourney, Justin, I mean, it happens to every good player.
Yeah.
It really does. I mean, if you won them all, you wouldn't be here.
Yeah. No, my thoughts are Carlos played really good. I think he got a couple rolls. I got a couple bad rolls, but he got out when he was supposed to. Jesus, I kind of played a perfect match against him. And Todd, me and Todd have played a lot. And, for him to finally beat me, it's like, okay, he's good enough to where eventually he is going to beat, he's going to beat me in a match eventually. So I wasn't really that surprised, but because, I've won a few matches against him. So it's like, hey, Todd don't play bad. He should win eventually. But no, really, it was just a bad start. I mean, I lose to Carlos White. It's Kentucky losing to St. Peter's in the NCAA tournament. I mean, that's what it is. It's Purdue losing to FDU or whatever. What was the team?
You got it right,
Yeah,
FDU.
yeah. I mean, it was just kind of knocks you off your path. But I mean, it happens sometimes.
North Carolina losing to Weber State.
I don't recollect.
I do.
I don't remember Harold Arsenault. I'm
Oh.
sorry. I don't remember that. He went off in that game for like 30 points.
Good
No, yeah, I mean, it just kind of knocks you off. It's like, okay, well, everything that match just worked in Carlos' favor, and Carlos got out when he was supposed to. So bravo to him. I mean, really, he did what he was supposed to do. He didn't. He got handed opportunities in that match from either rolls or me missing a ball that I wasn't supposed to miss, and he took advantage. And bravo, and it just kind of knocks you off your feet. And it's like, I don't think I ever really recovered. And against Todd, it was just kind of the same way. Todd played good, but I think I was still like, holy crap, why am I here in this round? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it was just one of those tournaments. I mean, I think we all have them. We all play enough that it's going to happen. I mean, everybody that we talked about in the top 8 in our tournament, at some point in one of the other tournaments, they have had a faltered finish as well. So let's move on to Pat. Pat's next out of us 3. Pat with, I guess, technically the best finish because you were the last one to be eliminated out of the 3 of us. Even 17th to 24th also. Here's your tournament. You lose 2-0 to Jason Blackwell, who finishes 3rd place in the tournament. You win 2-0 against William Wood, and then you lose 2-0 against Javier Oliu. I'll start off. You never once had a close match. You either played great, possibly against William Wood and won 2-0, or, I mean, honestly, the way Jason Blackwell was playing, I don't know if you really had a chance. I didn't get a chance to watch the match, but Jason was playing well. So, seeing at how he did the rest of that day, that score isn't a surprise. I think had you told me before y'all started, I would be surprised that it was 2-0. But after seeing how he played that day, I'm not surprised. And then Javier 2-0, I am surprised. I think that's probably supposed to go to a third set. But again, I mean, that's not, both matches you lose are kind of tough. I mean, it's another bad draw, really. I mean, you're not quite as bad of a draw as Brandon, but it wasn't, you didn't have a draw where you could get in stroke and get in rhythm and get some confidence. It's just kind of straight into the fire. Brandon, what do you think about Pat's tournament?
I mean, when I saw that he started off with Blackwell, I'm like, okay, anything's possible, but he's really gonna have to mind his P's and Q's here. And
Yeah.
when we all saw how Jason ended up, so no shame there. Your match with William, love William, great guy, and I'm glad he's at every event. You're supposed to win that. You are, and you did, and you played well from what I could see out of the corner of my eye. Match with Javier, I'm not going to agree with Justin and say that should go 3 sets, but I do believe you're supposed to play them close and with the possibility of getting a third set, but not really surprised about Javier. Javier has been playing very well lately. For whatever reason, he's been getting a lot of cashes down in the Gastonia tournaments. But that's one of those things. If a good player is playing well, he keeps the momentum going. He's hard to beat. So I'm not, and like Justin said, I'm not going to say your bracket was as tough as mine, but it wasn't that far away either.
Yeah.
That's for sure. So,
So, yeah.
but all in all, we all have fun and we all enjoy it when we're here. It's why we do this. It's why we keep coming back.
Absolutely. So, Pat, what's your thoughts? Tell us about your experiences.
First of all, shout out to Digital Pool for finally putting me above these two, even though we're the same.
Hey, was it
I feel
Digital
like the
Pool
last.
didn't do it? Digital Pool didn't do it. You did it, my friend.
Oh,
Well, oh yeah,
is that why
you
I
know what it
finished
is. I think it's
24th place?
Yeah.
I think it's because all my matches took longer. It's the reason. I just didn't finish to the last one. But no, I mean, with the Jason Blackwell match, I remember specifically, I never got a chance to shoot. Um, when he was at the table, he was getting out. And then when I was getting to the table, I was kicking from like a great defense that he was playing, or if he missed, he got like a sweet roll. So I never really had a chance to get going, and he was also playing well. And then with William Wood, this is the second time he and I have played. I think the first time was at Smoking Cube at the last tournament. We played each other there, and it's that I know I beat him 2-0 this time as well, but it was closer than what the scoreboard says. That's the reason why it took us about an hour. Like those sets, we still kind of played each other pretty close. I think in each set it was like 2-3, on the racks or whatever the race is, if that makes sense. Um, and then with Javier, what's interesting about that one was going into it, I felt that our skill level was a lot closer than what's reality. You know what I mean? To Brandon's point, I think Javier proved uh, how and why he's a better player. He came out and I had chances, I had opportunities, and when I made a mistake, he punished and he did everything that he was supposed to do. Was getting out. I think he might even had a break and run at one point. It was one of those things where if I missed and I didn't get a roll, if I left him a shot, he was out.
Yeah.
He was absolutely out. So, but it was still, just like you said, Brandon. It was a fun day, no matter what. Enjoyed all three of my matches. And it's like, if you're losing to a guy who's getting into the money, third place, fourth place, whatever it is, like, what can you say? Hats off to him.
Yeah, you can't be mad about that.
Yeah.
I will say, if you told me that you beat Javier, I would not consider that. I wouldn't consider it an upset if you had beaten him. I think he's favored to win, but I think y'all are a lot closer than what maybe other people think. And also just the fact that you've probably played a few times too. It's kind of like, eventually when you play enough times, you're always going to beat the other person. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's just how things. And then William Wood. Well, Javier. First of all, Javier. I'm expecting Javier to get a good finish in one of our tournaments coming up because he's due.
Sure.
But
Mhm.
and then the other person you played, William Wood, played in every one of our events this year. Still waiting to win a match. I'm really hoping he wins one next tournament. I'm rooting for him. We need to see it happen. Woody, we need you to win, buddy. We're all rooting for you, man. Like win 2 or 3 rounds next tournament, buddy. Like we're all cheering for you. because he is a big supporter and super nice guy also. But he's definitely trying to get better, and he's definitely getting better too.
This is how you do it.
I mean, yeah, I remember when he was a league player and he was a lowly 4, and now he's in these tournaments where Pat, you just said he gave you a fight in both sets. So good for Woody,
I was
man.
in I was in his same shoes months ago, looking for my
Yep.
first win, and
Yep.
ended up finally getting it against that guy right to your right. He let me get one, which I appreciate. But we've all been there. You make that transition. It's just a matter of time. I hope he keeps coming out and he keeps playing because he's great. He's great for the tournaments.
Absolutely. He is great for the tournament. I mean, he's the kind of people that I really want to play in every event, is people that want to get better and people that don't have the opportunity around the Charlotte area. Except for our tournaments are really the best way to get better, I feel like. Let's go ahead and talk about our stream matches really quick. Let's hit on those kind of a little bit. We had 15 matches on the stream. Busy day for us. That is crazy. First round, we had Liam Nguyen beating Greg Taylor 2-1, and we had Mark Bolton beating Jeff Abernathy 2-1. Pat, you want to give us your thoughts on those two matches right there? Did anything stick
I
out
think
to you?
I mean, both of those matches, the easily, semifinals, Final Four, hot seat type matches with those
Oh, yeah.
calibers of players. I did not expect Liam to beat Greg Taylor with the way that Greg came out, but like Brandon, how he said when he missed that 9, I think is what it was, the 8 or the 9 ball.
9. He missed
We
it in the
just felt
side.
that momentum. Yeah, you just saw and felt the whole room just shift the other way towards Liam Wynn's favor. Um, Really, really fun match to watch. And then the next one, Jeff Abernathy and Mark Bolton.
Mm-hmm.
The second Mark Bolton took that first shot, you could see like, oh, that's a snooker guy. Like, through and through. But to your point too, Brandon, that you mentioned earlier, it's so cool to be able to like see different styles come in and how those styles translate to wins or losses or the roles that they get, the position that they play. He's a really exciting and fun player to watch because he's an offensive player
Oh,
at
yeah.
heart, right?
big
He
time.
loves to pocket a ball. He's one of the better ball pocketers I've seen in person in a really long time. But because of his snooker background, he plays phenomenal defense as well. So he's got an all-around great game that's really exciting to watch. But I enjoyed both of those matches, man. After that first one, I actually thought Mark was going to be in like the top 3 after watching how he was going to be playing.
Yeah, I think to start off with those two matches was great, and for both of them to go hill is incredible. They were both really good matches. I mean, honestly, though, you could tell me those were the two best matches of the day, and be like, okay, I agree with you. Brandon, what do you think about those?
I didn't call the Mark and Jeff match, so I did come in at the end. While I think it was you, I think it was Rico and Pat actually calling that one.
Mhm.
So, but I called the Greg and Liam match with Pat, and Pat and I were just stunned, just on how that whole match just turned. I mean, literally one flip of the switch.
Yeah.
We're like, okay, we're sitting here thinking, who's the next match and who's going to play Greg next, and next thing, just like the whammy, and just hit, and then just kept, and what's our quicksand from
Yeah.
there for Greg the rest of the day. But just like we talked about earlier, Liam did his job. Liam stayed in the match and he kept fighting the entire way, which is fun to watch. So to see him get that win was big.
Yeah, and that loss probably affected Greg a little bit because then he turned around and lost to John Patera, which I feel like was the upset of the tournament.
No question.
For Greg to go 2-0. Yeah, but I mean, good for John. John's putting in the work. He's trying to get a lot better as well. He's played in a bunch of our events. Might only be a matter of time before maybe he pulls through and cashes one time. Let's get to the second round. Second round, we had two matches as well. We had Liam as well. Again, Liam to win. Beats Jacob Blake 2-0. And then we had Scott Roberts beating Brandon Mullis 2-0. So I guess we'll start with Brandon on this one. Brandon.
Oh, okay.
Brandon, what's your thoughts on those two matchups, man?
Well, let's just talk about the Jacob Blake and Liam
right.
win match. We won't worry about the other one. I don't want to say I'm shocked that Liam won 2-0, but I am a little bit because Jacob's tough.
Yeah.
Jacob's a tough player. He plays a lot, plays really consistent. But I do think the better player won in that match. And tell you what, Scott Roberts, as far as our match goes, he's tough action. I'll have to say this might sound strange, even though he beat me 3-1, 3-1. That was fun. And the reason I'm saying that was fun is because that was a kick fest. It was a kick safety
Y'all
fest.
played a lot of safe.
Yes, we did. Well, first off, I couldn't see anything, and I certainly couldn't give a guy like him an open look at the table. That's suicide almost. So we had a lot of fun to the point where he actually complimented that part of the game with me
Nice.
during my match. I'm like, hey, appreciate the words from a guy like you. So it meant a lot. Um, he is as tough as I thought he would be. He's a great ball pocketer.
First time you played him?
Yeah. First time I've actually seen him in person.
Oh, okay.
I'd watched him a number of times on YouTube as I'd heard his names. I knew he was going to be good. You know, that's the first time I really had seen him in person. And yeah, when I saw that he finished 7th, 8th in our tourney, that was shocking. So
Nice.
because that ain't the Scott that I saw. But no, overall, you know, it was a good match.
Good.
It's a good match.
Good. Pat, what do you think about those two matchups, man? Liam beating Jacob and Scott beating Brandon.
I don't think either one of those two matches is a surprise as to who won. I think that and I don't even think that it's a surprise that Liam beats that he beats Blake 2-0. I think that
agree with
that's how that match is supposed to go. As strong as Blake plays, he does tend, from what I've seen, he tends to make some crucial mistakes towards the end of racks, which ends up costing him in the long run. So not too surprised right there, even though he is a really strong player. And then I would probably say the same thing. When Scott and Greg walked in, I was looking at both of them like, okay, I can already see these two coming down from Virginia. They, you know, they're going to be up there in the money at some point. So this is just the start of it. But yeah, I think I was also playing at this time, so I had to go back and watch a couple of both of those matches actually. So I didn't get to actually see them firsthand. But I don't think either one of those two are surprises.
Yeah, I think I agree exactly what you said about Jacob Blake, how he makes crucial mistakes at the end of the rack. But he's definitely improving. I definitely expect him to cash at some point. But
Yeah.
at that round, I definitely thought that both Liam and I thought Liam, I was like, okay, Liam's probably on his way to maybe being in the money in this tournament after that win, just because it looked like he played really well. And then the way Scott played against Brandon, I said, it looks like Scott's got these tables figured out, and I think Scott might win this tournament. Was kind of how I felt after he beat Brandon. Not to say Brandon didn't put up a fight, but I just felt like the way Scott played, it just looked like he had everything dialed in, and which really gives credit to you, Brandon, because you won a rack, I think, both sets.
Should have won.
Yeah.
Should have. The second set should have gone hill, or I should have won it.
Agreed.
But thank you.
But let's move on to the third round, which is the final 8 winner side. We had all 4 matchups, which is awesome. So let me read off those really quick here. So keep up with me here. We had Hunter White beating Brian Francis 2-1. Mark Bolton beating Liam Nguyen 2-0. Jason Blackwell beating Eddie Little 2-0, and then Clay Davis beating Scott Roberts 2-1. Pat, what do you think about those 4 matchups, buddy? The final 8 winner side.
Eddie Little losing to Jason Blackwell was the start of his villain story. That's his villain origin story right there.
His anti-hero?
Yeah, that's his anti-hero right there.
Can we get to some Taylor Swift anti-hero playing in the background now too? No, sorry. I just shout out to T Swizzle there. Anyway,
T Sweezy. And then Clay Davis, he went to the hill with Scott Roberts.
Yeah, great match.
I think that's how that's supposed to go. I think that match is supposed to be close. Although I would actually give the edge to Clay in that match just for the sake of home field advantage, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's played at Blue Rocks before. Has he won at Blue Rocks?
No,
he didn't win at Blue Rocks. He got a couple second places at Blue Rocks, I think is what it was,
right?
He got
second place to Eddie Little in the 8-ball tournament. And then in the non-ball tournament, I believe he finished like 5th, 6th, or 7th, 8th, or something like that.
There you go. So, I mean, their skill levels are, at least as far as Fargo is concerned, is pretty identical. So I would have to give the edge to Clay, especially knowing how consistent he's been in these tournaments, right? Versus I don't know nothing about Scott. And then what were the other two?
Hunter White beating Brian Francis 2-1, and then Mark Bolton beating Liam Nguyen 2-0.
I think with Hunter White, the surprise is that it went to the hill, which speaks to how well that the Pope was playing. He was blessed at the table all over the place, wasn't he? But Mark Bolton beating Liam Nguyen 2-0, I think those scores should flip. It seems to me that Hunter White should have been the one winning 2-0, and then Liam and Mark, those guys probably should have gone to the hill. But then again, it also speaks to just how well that Mark was playing, and then that comeback story of his, right, coming off of that stroke, just trying to get back into the rhythm of things, get back into his game. And I'm going to be really excited to see what he looks like at 100%, at
Yeah.
90%. I think we spoke a little bit after his last loss, and he was saying that he's really closer to about like 50 or 60 right now. And I was like,
Oh yeah.
if this is 60, golly, man, I can't wait to see what you look like at 80 and 90.
Oh, it's pretty impressive how he plays at 100%. Brandon, what do you think about those 4 matchups, buddy?
Favorite one was definitely Clay. Definitely Clay and Scott. That was just a great match to watch. Actually, I'd say it was my favorite, but seeing the result of Jason and Eddie was big. I don't want to say I was totally shocked about Mark over Liam, but definitely think the favored player won there. And then Pope Francis, for whatever reason, when you play the big names, you pull sets.
Yeah.
He got one against Hunter, he got one against BJ, and he's got one against a bunch of players. So, shout out to him for that. But 4 great matches, but the Scott and Clay match was still my favorite. It just has to be.
Yeah, I actually think that Clay and Scott match was possibly the best match of the day on the stream table. It was definitely my most favorite to watch. And then, yeah, Jason beating Eddie is definitely an upset, and that's when you kind of knew, like, okay, Jason finally broke through and made the money. And then, honestly, I thought maybe Eddie's day was over. I thought maybe he was just gonna kind of fold after that. Mark beating Liam was a big surprise, with Mark not really playing much, and Liam the way that he played the round before against Jacob Blake. I really expected Liam to win that match, but Mark played really good. I mean, really solid. And then, yeah, Brian getting a set off a Hunter. I mean, Brian steps it up, man. He just knows how to grind through and, pull out some wins that maybe he's not supposed to. And honestly, in one of these tournaments coming up, probably it wouldn't surprise me if Brian probably just beats somebody like a BJ or a Hunter or a Clay. And it's like, okay, well, there's the big upset. Like, even though it probably shouldn't be a big upset, but maybe it'll be viewed that way. So yeah, I think those were really 4 good matches. I think the final 8 winner side, it was very impressive there. Then we move on to the final 4 winner side. So we get the 4 winners to play each other. Hunter White beating Mark Bolton 2-0, and then Jason Blackwell beating Clay Davis 2-0. Yeah, I mean, neither match went hill. So Brandon, what do you think about the final 4 winner side, man?
I said it earlier, I'll say it again. Jason Blackwell beating Clay was the best pull I've seen Jason Blackwell play in years. That was absolutely epic on his part.
I'm going to put like a little star where you said years and say forever.
Forever,
Yeah,
just like the movie.
Yeah.
Yes, I'll say nothing I won't tell him.
Yeah.
And he agreed, so he already knew that because he was unconscious. Like he didn't care who was out there. He was just pocketing the balls. He was having fun. That's what it really was. He was having fun and enjoying the game. And as far as the Hunter and Mark Bolton match, I'm sure these two are glad to see each other again. They were each other's paychecks for at least solid 6 months last year, so good for those two to reunite. Hunter winning 2-0 is no surprise. I mean, that's he's absolutely supposed to win like that, and he did, and he played great pool all day long. So, but yeah, no, the Eddie and Jason match. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Wake up.
Clay and Jason.
Clay and Jason match was probably my favorite match all day to call.
Nice. Pat, what do you think about the final 4 winners?
Let's think about how crazy that is. Clay Davis lost 2-0 late in the day against Jason Blackwell. That's nuts. Okay? That's nuts. I have to go back and watch that match. I would say that Hunter White versus Mark Bolton, just where their games are right now, currently, it's not a surprise. It's not a surprise. If it goes to the hill, it just makes it a more exciting match. I still favor Hunter 9 times out of 10 right now, where their games are to win against really just about anybody, but especially Mark in that moment. But yeah, Jason going and beating Clay 2-0 was nuts. Absolutely nuts. Which speaks to just the day that he was having. And you talk about how he was unconscious. You always hear about like tapping into that your subconscious pool player and just kind of being present in the moment. The cameras, the lights, like none of that stuff matters. It's just you on the table. You're just having fun. And he was the epitome of that in that match against Clay. So hats off to him, man. Really, really like as we started off with what seemed like could have been semifinals and like hot seat matches, and it just kept like somehow the matches just kept
Oh,
getting
yeah.
better as the day went on.
Yeah, I mean, no offense to all the other tournaments that we've had, but there were 0 matches on this stream out of these 15 matches that were boring or, all 15 of these were prime time, like must watch, must see TV. And I was hoping
Sunday
that
night football.
Yeah, I was hoping that Hunter and Mark would be a great match, but Mark, I just don't think is at that level right now. Still trying to make a comeback, but Hunter also played really phenomenal in that match. And then Clay and Jason, if you told me that was 2-0, I definitely would have thought Clay won. But Jason played, the match of his life, and I really have I have nothing to compare it to because I'm not sure I've ever seen anything like it where it's like, Jason's not, you know, he's a really good player, and like I said, I expect him to cash in this tournament, but to see him do to Clay what he did, I have there's nothing like, what do you compare that to? You know what I mean? Like that's something that I don't think we have seen yet in any of these tournaments.
Riding that high from beating Eddie 2-0 right into beating Clay 2-0.
I mean, yeah. I mean, that's too strong. I mean, who beats those two guys 2-0, 2-0 back-to-back matches? Pat, have you ever seen anything like that in our tournaments yet?
No, no, not at all.
Yeah.
Not unless Clay might have had a run like this. Clay might have had a run like this, but I feel like even still in his run, he was taking people to the hill. Not
Yeah.
like Jason. No, that was just nuts. That was nuts.
Exactly. So yeah, those two matches, I mean, definitely probably didn't go exactly like I thought they would, but it does lead to our hot seat match, which was Hunter White, Jason Blackwell, and sadly, I feel like it kind of went how we expected it to. Jason's run kind of comes to a screeching halt, maybe. Hunter with the 2-0 win. Hunter saying, "Hey, I'm here for a reason. I'm here for this," and he just, I don't know, played perfect. I mean, Brandon, it looks like you're ready to talk about it. So go ahead and talk about the Hunter and Jason match.
And this is where the fairy dust evaporated. That's
The
even
clock
the right
struck
thing.
midnight.
Yes, the
Yeah.
clock struck midnight. The thing turned back into a pumpkin because I saw Jason hang up some balls
Yeah.
in the pockets.
Yeah.
So, and you could see the frustration on his face because he had just played 2 jam up matches that we just talked about. And, when Hunter got those opportunities, he capitalized. Hunter did probably hit the 9 ball of the tournament, though. I mean, that thing traveled 8 solid feet and he had to cut it 90 degrees, not scratch, keep it on the table and still pocket it. And that thing went pocket speed. So look for that in the highlights, everybody. That was a great one. But and once Jason made those mistakes, Hunter fed off of it and he just kept going. He was a freight train after that. So your assessment's definitely right. Once he salt blood, it was over.
Yeah. Pat, what do you think about that match, man? Our hot seat match.
Brandon, I mean, that was perfect. Hunter came in, he was on a mission. This is his time. We always talk about how the cream rises to the top. This is what we were seeing at that moment, right? He was saying, okay, hot seat match. I don't lose these. Let's get on to the championships. Y'all can figure out who I got to play and I can go home and take this trophy. And then, maybe at that point, it was already late in the evening at that point. So maybe for Jason, that was really the point where he just kind of ran out of gas. Maybe he blew everything that he had going 2-0 against Eddie Little, 2-0 against Clay Davis, like you said. And those matches are much more mental than they are physical.
Oh, for sure.
Big time.
It's a really mentally draining to have to go back to back, and you 2-0 both of those. So not only may you come in mentally exhausted, but you may also come in with that mental high, like we talked about before. You win these huge matches, and then just to get to the next one, and then it's like you forget how to play pool. I don't think that was the case for Jason, but I think it was just more so the mental fatigue, maybe, and the physical fatigue at that point of the evening just started to set in on. It was still like, just woke up, let's play.
I think Jason did do something in this match that I haven't seen before, also, which he did 3-foul Hunter.
It's true.
I'm not sure I've ever seen that ever in my entire life. So congrats to
That should
Jason
be a
for that.
trophy all in itself. There should be a
Yes.
patch that we give out at the pool series if you 3-foul Hunter White.
Yeah, I mean, Hunter played incredible, but Jason did something I'd never seen before. So congrats to him, man. I know you'd much rather win the hot seat match, but still, congrats on 3-fouling Hunter White. I think that's a huge accomplishment. I feel like. I mean, you don't three foul people on that level very often. I mean, when do we ever see somebody on that level really get three fouled? I mean, Pat, have you ever seen somebody on that level? I mean, it's not often.
No, it's not often. And like what's crazy about that? What's crazy is everyone knows Hunter White is the one pocket guy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's like
yeah,
with him, Clay Davis, there's no hiding. Runal,
no,
I look at those guys like there's no hiding. You just hope that you just make it difficult for them. So to go
yeah,
in and saying like I'm going to three foul, his confidence was through the roof, man.
yeah.
It's through the roof.
Yeah, that was pretty fun to watch. Let's move on. So now we go to the loser side for a few matchups here, and I like to call this the Eddie Little segment, the Eddie Little part of our show here, because the next four matches all consist of Eddie Little, which means he wins three of the four. We get fifth, sixth place match. Eddie Little beats Mark Bolton 2-1. Pat, what'd you think about that match?
Eddie was pissed. Eddie was pissed that he was over there on the loser side. He was so mad. He was so mad that he was over here to play anybody. So this was the start of the grind, right?
Yeah,
He was really grinding. I think almost the rest of these went to the hill.
yeah,
And so you talk about mental fortitude, right? And he's no spring chicken, as they say. You know what I mean? But he was still like physically, he was still looking just as fresh as he was at 4 or 5 o'clock in the evening. It was all up top, 6 inches between the ears. So for him to be as pissed as he was with himself for how he was playing, to still grind out all of those hill matches and win, man. I want to be like Eddie Little when I grow up.
yeah, for sure.
Me too.
Yes, absolutely. Brandon, what'd you think about Eddie and Mark?
Well, I think Scott Roberts and Eddie played the longest match possible between two 670 Fargos and higher
Yeah,
that I have ever seen.
yeah,
I didn't really watch much of the match, but I know it went 3 sets, and it was at least an hour, wasn't it?
yeah. It was almost
I
2 hours.
mean, that was crazy.
Yeah,
So for Eddie to grind all the way through that, no, I've been a fan of Eddie since I started playing pool in general, and to see that he still can absolutely do his thing at 3 and 4 o'clock in the morning consistently when everybody else is wanting to go home and go to bed. Eddie wants to play more pool. It's
Mhm.
crazy after all these years. So I was very proud of him. He played very, very well,
yeah.
especially in his match with Mark. I think he was ready to, he wanted to show everybody something on that one.
Actually, I'm on the flip side here. I don't think Eddie plays good in any of these matches. I think he just grinds through and pulls out the win somehow because he knows how to do that. Because
Hmm.
I don't think he played good against Mark. And our next matchup, the fourth place match, Eddie Little beats Clay Davis Hill. I don't think Eddie plays good in that match either. I think Clay just made a couple of mistakes he doesn't normally make. But Eddie pulls out the win. And I think that's really the story of Eddie's run here is just the other person makes a mistake that Eddie does not make. I don't think Eddie was running over him by saying, "Hey, I'm the better player," which I mean, he might be the better player, but he's not dominating him. It's hey, you made a mistake, I'm going to win.
Hmm.
So, Pat, what do you think about Eddie and Clay really quick? I think that was actually a really good matchup though, really. I mean, they both made a couple of mistakes though.
No, yeah, same thing. That's what I was saying. You took the words right out of my mouth when I said like this was the start of the grind. It was really the
Yeah.
start of the grind against Scott Roberts because he did
Yes.
2-0 Todd Milam to kind of start his path on the losers bracket, but
Yeah, and that match
he was
took like
grinding
20
everything out.
minutes.
Yeah, it was an hour and a half when he
Yeah.
played against Scott Roberts. It was an hour 10 minutes when he played against Mark Bolton. The match against Clay Davis now that was an hour and 20, almost an hour and a half there as well. So to your point, he wasn't shooting phenomenal, and I think that's the reason why he was pissed all
Yeah.
night, like just grinding it out, like taking it out on the pool table because he knew he wasn't playing his best. It didn't feel good, but he was doing what he needed to do to win. He would
Exactly.
punish when he had to.
Exactly. Brandon, do you kind of agree with what we're saying?
Yeah, I mean, he had some good moments in there that I saw, but yeah, no, he definitely. I mean, other players did kind of pave the way for him a little bit. So, and then like you say, you can't give a player like Eddie basic stuff and expect him to miss. It's rare.
Yeah. And
So that's why he was able to keep moving forward.
yeah, and then we move on to the semifinal matchup when Eddie Little beats Jason Blackwell 2-1, and it was really the same thing. Jason, you could tell at this point is just really tired, and
Hmm.
I think he was just mentally,
Emotionally spent.
yeah, mentally, emotionally, I think he was just done, and Eddie just had more energy. Really, is what that match came down to. I mean, Pat, do you have any thoughts really that stood out in the Eddie versus Jason match?
No, because we've already talked about that one a couple of times. I think that's what it
Yeah.
was. Eddie was just in that mode where I'm getting to the finals and I'm going to go get this money and this trophy.
Yeah.
He was not. He didn't want to go home. He wanted to stay.
Brandon, what do you think, man? Any thoughts on that one?
Eddie loves playing pool.
Yeah.
He I don't think I've ever. He probably has, and I wasn't there, but I don't think I've ever seen him split. I think if
Yeah.
Eddie has an opportunity to play it out, he will.
Yeah, he definitely
Which I respect that
Oh, I respect it too. I
big
definitely
time.
Yeah. I applaud it. I want people to play the finals every
Well,
time.
you also brought up a great point in the very beginning. He bought himself in the Calcutta.
Yeah.
When you buy yourself in the Calcutta, you're usually less likely to split.
Absolutely. Absolutely. 100%. Well, let's mention the final matchup really quick. Hunter White beats Eddie Little 2-0. Hunter was on a mission. I'm not sure anybody in this tournament would have beat Hunter the way he played in that matchup. That was probably the best match he played all day. And usually the players of his caliber, I feel like, save the best match for last. Pat, what's your thoughts on Hunter and Eddie in the finals, man?
The way he popped out of that chair at 4:15, ready to play that finals match, made me that much more tired. I'm like, bro, are you serious?
Yeah.
But no, I mean, to your point, he was how do I want to say this? Just as much as Eddie Little was on the mission, Hunter White was on the mission as well. He had his own prerogative. He wasn't gonna. All this time he was waiting. I think he waited a solid couple hours before. I think he wanted hot seat match to actually get into the finals.
He waited like 3 hours.
He
Yeah.
looks. Yeah, it was crazy, man. Like waited like 3 hours just to come out, and it's like he was never off the table. How great he was
Mhm.
playing, how great he was shooting. Missed a couple shots here and there, but he didn't lose a set. You know. So played great all day, and then like you said, saved his best match for last.
Yes, definitely
5 in
saved
the
the best
morning.
for last. Brandon, what do you think, man?
I think when Hunter was down 3-1 in the second set, I think he actually got more motivated.
And that we should mention that the finals is races to 4.
Yes, races to 4, best 2 out of 3 sets. So Hunter wins the first set 4-1, I think.
Yep.
You and I were calling that match. I know it was late as possible, but that's the life. So we need to remember these.
I think it was 4-1. Yeah.
And then the second set, Hunter was actually down 3-1, and he was just kind of, every time he got an opportunity to get to the table, I think he started moving faster to the table, and then he finished the job. So that's what I got to see with that. But it's like you said, two different destinies that day. Eddie's just came to an end, and Hunter proved why he was the best player in the tourney.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Absolutely. And he got to walk home with the trophy May 18th, Blue Rocks. It was a fun day. I feel like we paid out $3,590 between tournament and auction. That's really amazing, I feel like. Yeah, it was a fun day, man. I feel like this was a really good tournament. We had great players, great field, great matches on the stream table. And we got a lot to look forward to for the rest of the year. You can keep up with our point standings. Check out the point standings on Facebook. I think I'm barely hanging on in the top 10. I think, Pat, you're just outside the top 20, I believe. Is that correct?
I think I'm like 24. I think I'm in like the 24th spot or something like that.
Still top 32, which qualifies for the.
That's all I need.
Brandon, you're what, 15th,
All I
I
need.
believe?
And 13, 14,
Okay.
in that ballpark, yes.
Do we still think Clay has a 170 point advantage on second place? Is he kind of heading towards that first place finish? Pat, what do you think?
I think so. I think Clay's going to be the number 1 seed going into December at the championship.
Yeah,
I'll
Brandon, is
put
that
my
what you're
bottom
thinking?
dollar on it.
Unless he just quits playing pool, then yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to take somebody to win 2 or 3 events to one of the guys that's already won one is going to have to.
Or to Clay and just have a monumental meltdown, which
Yeah.
I just cannot see happening.
Do you think? Do either one of y'all think we've had 4 events already? We got 6 more points events left. We've had 4 different winners so far this year. Pat, what do you think the odds are that we get 6 different? Do you think we get 10 different winners all year? Like, do you think the trend continues? No, yeah, I don't think so either.
No, I do not think so at all. I think Clay is definitely going to win at least 1 more, if not 2 more. I think he wins at least one of these last 6. I think Unal takes home maybe another one. One of these last 6.
Ronaldo does not have one yet.
He does not. That's right. He does not have one. They split.
Yeah.
I think Ronaldo ends up getting one, maybe so that'll make a new one. But I don't think so because Clay Davis is still alive and still has a cue in his hand. So
Yeah,
ain't gonna be 6
Don't
different
forget
winners.
about DA.
Yeah, David Anderson also could get one. Yeah,
Where's he been?
he's married, man. It happens.
Oh, that's right. I know that's right.
His
Okay.
wife offers way more points than this tournament does.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
But I think I'm with y'all. I think we get maybe possibly 2 more different winners before the year's over to finish with 6 different winners, which is still good. That's still, if we can get 6 different winners, I'm happy with that. Let's mention a couple other things. Next event that the pool series has is June 22nd, 23rd. We have the 30th anniversary at Smoke and Q, a $3,000 added non-ball event. That's gonna be a lot of fun. We'll be posting the player list soon. It's gonna have some super heavy hitters in that. And then the next points event that we have is not until July 13th. We'll be at Irish Q 8-ball event. What do you guys are you guys looking forward to both those events, Brandon?
Oh, big time,
Yeah.
especially the one at Smoking Q.
Yeah,
Oh, anytime you can get, because you and I have talked about some of the names on the list off air. When you get some of these guys coming in, I cannot wait to be behind the mic on these.
for sure. And then on the flip side, I'm excited to be back at Irish Q the following month as well.
Absolutely.
Pat, what do you think, man, about those 2 events coming up?
It'll be great. It'll be a great time. I was really excited to see that we're going back to Irish Q sooner than later. I can't wait to get back over there. Great spot. I love those tables.
Absolutely. We have 2 events left there this year. We'll also be back in August as well. So there we go. You can check out the full schedule on our Facebook page. And then one other thing to mention on before we go, you guys have the Masters qualifiers next weekend. So good luck, guys.
Thank you.
Pat, what are you thinking heading into that, man? Your first time playing Masters. So
Yes, I've got my pom poms ready. I've got my juice boxes for the crew. Okay, I'm coming into this, and I can't.
dude, if you bring a juice box and
I
some
can't wait to support.
if you bring some a juice box and some graham crackers for me, I might show up and cheer y'all on too.
Oh, and we're not. This is we're like Bearwick. We're like Valentine moms. I'm bringing Capri Suns. Okay,
Yeah,
brand
now we're
names to the
talking.
event.
Not the prison issue grape and fruit drinks,
Hey,
but
can you
Great
actually
drink.
bring some of that blue popcorn that your son gets too? Actually, I want that.
Oh, that purple popcorn. I
Purple,
got you.
yeah. Yeah.
I
Whatever
got you.
color it is. I know I've talked to you like twice and you're like, I'm at the store getting colored popcorn.
oh,
He calls the bag that he sees purple popcorn because they brand it that way, and it's got like a little. It's like Himalayan sweet. I want the purple popcorn, Daddy.
I mean, sounds amazing. Brandon,
It's delicious.
yeah, Brandon, you got Masters, man, as well.
yes.
Y'all are on the same team. Good luck, brother. What do you think heading into? You've been in this situation a lot. I know. What was it last year or the year before? We played each other, I think, in the playoffs to go to Vegas. So what do what are you thinking?
I'm gonna say this year is a lot better chance than the last couple of years. You got a few heavy hitting teams that aren't there anymore. I really like our bracket. Our bracket's weird. We could go 2 and out, or we could be playing for the hot seat real quick. So I mean, this is it's one of those things where it just teams got to come together and everybody play well.
I like it. I'll
You know,
definitely be rooting for you guys. I
cool,
mean,
cool.
I like a lot of
Appreciate
other
that.
people that'll be there, but I feel like secretly I'm pulling for you guys. Don't tell nobody.
I'm gonna tell everybody.
Especially if you wear your pool series t-shirts. I might definitely be.
Definitely wearing the pool series.
I guess that's it, man. I mean, Pat, do you got anything else to mention before you go? You got your match next weekend also against Smitty. So
Let's go.
Yeah. We got the Spitty Horn match. We got Masters coming up. It's gonna be a great time. Shout out to Blue Rocks for always being a great, great,
yeah,
great host. Really appreciate you guys. Shout out to all the sponsors as well, all the players, man. The viewers, everybody listening on Spotify, watching this on YouTube, man. We do it for all of you all. So thank you so much.
absolutely, 100%. We definitely appreciate everybody that watches and listens and all that. Brandon, you got anything else to mention before we go?
Hey, Ray, kind of like what these guys said on Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, comments, snide remarks, likes, everything. We love it. Bring it on, especially those snide remarks. We love bulletin board material.
100%.
And last thing, and just because Pat and I need to talk about it more, we may have an interview / podcast with a prominent player that I guarantee y'all are going to want to tune into.
Well,
So
good.
just be on the lookout for that.
Well, awesome. I definitely look forward to seeing what that's about. Looking forward to it. Glad that y'all are doing big things. And yeah, I guess that's the TPS reports. The May tournament at Blue Rocks. It's over. It's complete. We're done. That's Pat Dixon. That's Brandon Mullis. I'm Justin Clark. Check us out on YouTube, the Pool Series page. Check us out on Spotify, TPS Reports. Check us out on Facebook, the Pool Series. We're all over the place, man. So, yeah, we'll check you later.